let's get to these melodies and top lines. A melody is a sequence of single notes that are musically satisfying. And we want to create amazing melodies, so anyone who listens to our melodies are like, yo, this is extremely fire. But before we get into the process of how we're going to create these melodies, I want you guys to understand the elements that are present in most, if not every melody. There are 4 elements that are part of almost every melody. These 4 elements are the contour, the melodic range, the melodic interval, and the melodic structure. Understanding these elements will allow you to have insights on the kind of melody and the emotional feel of the melody that you're creating. So let's go over each element and really see what they entail. First, let's start with the contour. A memorable melody follows a contour, a line that ascends, descends, arches, or dips. There's no particular formula, but you will notice how different contours elicit different emotional responses in the listener. Let's look at some contour examples. Let's think of the contour as a line that follows all the notes in your melody. It kind of creates a shape of its own. Let's take a listen. Descending contours tend to have a darker, more sadder feel. So if we took the same instrument and created a contour that was more ascending, it should have a feel of more inspirational and uplifting. Let's try and take a listen to it. Now you can keep this in mind when creating melodies to understand the emotional pull you can have when creating your melody. Also, it allows you for endless inspiration because you can see contours within images, natural landscapes, and art. Almost anything has a specific shape to it, and then you can recreate that kind of shape in the melodic area of your piano roll and create a melody that kind of naturally exists. It's kind of wild. Moving on, the next element is melodic range. The range is the distance between the highest and lowest note of the melody. Some melodies occupy a very large range, maybe 2 octaves and above, while others have a much smaller range, maybe even just half an octave. The range is very important to consider when writing a good melody. A wide range will make the melody like hard to hum and probably less memorable, while a range that is too small won't sound interesting at all. It'll be kind of dull with no kind of excitement. So a safe space is to stay within 2 octaves of the key. This way you have some room to keep it exciting, yet you don't really go overboard. Maybe once in a while you go with a melody that jumps out over 2 octaves, but most of the time you don't really have to. The next element is melodic intervals. A melody with more than 1 note obviously has a melodic interval. It kind of creates like the rhythm. Does it go up each note or does it jump and skip notes? Let's go through a quick example so you get the simple idea quickly. Just looking at this, you can tell it progresses up the scale naturally as it should, just ascending a tone or semitone regularly in the scale. Whereas in this example, it jumps and skips notes that are naturally not existing in the scale as it should and has a different rhythm to it as I changed. Lastly is melodic structure. Melodies have structure too. You could have an A section, a B section, maybe even a C section. Think of call and response or up and down, just variations between a melody that are significant. As we can see here, on the left side we have the A part of the melody and on the right we have the B. It's kind of like a call and response type of melody. This A part is kind of like the main sound carrying most of it, and then we have the B part doing most of like the responding over here. Now that we have an idea of the elements that make up a melody, let's go through the step-by-step process, a framework I can give you to create melodies every time. Let's go through it. Step 1, choose a scale. Major scale, minor scale, any scale you feel like. Let's just get the job done. Go ahead and choose a scale. Step 2, create a rhythm. After identifying which scale you want to use, you're going to want to create a rhythm. See, a melody isn't just a sequence of notes, it's a rhythmic succession of notes. Rhythm is extremely important. To keep it simple, you can choose 1 note and create a catchy and repetitive rhythm just to get your rhythm right. Or if you're advanced, you can create the rhythm and the notes you want to hear in your head and put it in simultaneously. So here I've created a simple repetitive rhythm. Let's take a listen. Stay with me. Step 3 is to draw your contour. Now that you've nailed your rhythm, now you might have to think a little bit. Think about the kind of shape you want your melody to have. It's going to be ascending, descending, the emotional appeal of your melody. From there, you can start moving the notes to align with that image in your head, or you can just play around with it and see what you come up with. But here's the example that I have with the rhythm that we just created. See, here we have created that sounds somewhat pleasant, easily just by creating a contour. So just to keep you involved, I'll show you the original rhythm with the contour so you can see it's just the same thing with different notes playing now. Next, step 4 and 5 are kind of intertwined, which is adjust and flare. You're gonna change the things that you don't like and then add things that you do like. Add some notes, some different lengths, some different variations, change the velocity of the melody that you have, and just make things sound good. Let's see how we change up our example. Let's say we change the instrument and add some lows. And there you go, you have a step-by-step process you can use to create melodies consistently. However, there is some things you may run into, so here's some extra tips. Here we go with rapid fire tips. Let's get right to it. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Try the following tips to regain inspiration and get the right sound. First, you could just use silence. Use silence throughout the melody to make it more interesting and give it some space to breathe. Or you could just switch the instrument. Also, you can move it up or down an octave, or just delete every second note. That seems to solve the problem sometimes. Try to avoid whining on and on. A good melody resolves and repeats itself. Also, try to avoid too much variation in pitch and rhythm. Consistency is key. Keep it simple. Next, just hum it. Look, we're not all great vocalists, but when we do like something, we hum it, we sing it, we just use it. So why not use your mouth to create your own melodies? It's a great way to come with catchy ones. If you can hum it and you can sing it, that means it's catchy and it's repeatable. And lastly, always be on the lookout for inspiration. In wildlife, machines, everyday life, there's always some kind of rhythm or kind of melody that's low-key just sitting around. So if you can use these for inspiration, you can regenerate them and probably just make a hit. I hope you guys enjoyed everything in this module. I'll see you guys in the next one.